Hello and welcome to another edition of the C Squared Podcast. This is your host, Curtis, my co-host, Holly, and we are here today with solo artist Joan Avant, who's going to be talking with us for the next 35 minutes about a multitude of different things, probably about recording techniques, probably a bit about DIY type stuff, maybe some music, maybe some marketing, a whole bunch of different things. But for starters, just want to say as a very first thing, thank you very much, Joan, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here today.
Sweet. So the very first thing that we always ask people is, can you please give us a little nutshell history of who you are, what you do, and that type of thing?
Yeah, sure. I am a one-woman band. My genre is kind of a mouthful, but I call it Victorian Gothic Symphonic Rock. So very much bent to the all things Gothic Victorian. But yeah, I say I'm maybe a little more on the hard rock side than metal side. I certainly flirt with metal. But anyway, it's kind of a mixture of genres, very classical based too. But basically, yeah, my history, I don't really go that far back with the songwriting, maybe 2017. My youngest daughter went to school, so I ended up having like 2 hours to myself. So I started to started getting into songwriting. Let me backtrack a little bit. I do have a classical background. I am a music teacher. I teach violin and classical music. And so I have that background. I've done that since I was a little kid. But anyway, as far as the creative side of things, I didn't really get into songwriting until, yeah, probably 2017. I had been in rock bands and things in college, but I was always just somebody's guitarist or drummer, just kind of played in some bands that never really went anywhere. They were just kind of fun. But anyway, yeah, kind of got into songwriting about 2017, and then it just kind of spiraled into what became my first album, which was called Drown Ophelia, that came out in 2019. And I ended up just kind of doing everything myself, not because I don't like other people or anything like that. It just ended up being, it was easier for me to do it kind of myself, instead of trying to meet up with somebody and no offense to musicians, but musicians are flakes, and getting people to do the things I want them to do and how I want them to do it. I'm like, oh, I'll just do it myself. So that's kind of, so now with the joys of technology and recording, I was able to do that. And so most recently, I'm about to be releasing my sophomore album, Dies Irae, which will be coming out December 10th. So that's kind of a quick fast forward of kind of what I've been doing for the last few years.
Perfect. Now over to Holly for the interrogation.
Yeah. Well, okay. I think we've got to start with genre mixing, because I love the genre that you've sort of gone down with your music. I'd be really interested to know, with all your backgrounds, obviously from classical all the way through to sort of the metal styles, how did you settle on the Victorian Gothic symphonic rock?
Yeah, I kind of, I think my project is very much all of my favorite things about music I want to put into my music, I guess. So I kind of stole little things from here and there from a lot of different genres. I'm like, to make it be just exactly the thing I wanted, all the things I want to hear, in a given song. With the and a lot of the Gothic Victorian is very thematic based, I would say. With what I do, I tend to write a lot of my songs. I'm kind of more of a storyteller, I think, in my songs. So a lot of the songs some of them are historically based, so actually from Victorian period, maybe not necessarily English per se, but it could be French, Belle Epoque. It could be even on this new album, I touch on the Wild West. So, it kind of that sort of turn of the century time period I'm really fascinated with. I love a lot of the art that came out of that time period, a lot of the music that came out of that time period. Also too, my favorite movie is Moulin Rouge, like Baz Luhrmann's Moulin Rouge. So I'm like, if I could if I could could have like a rock band that was like Moulin Rouge, I would be all for it, you know? So yeah, it's kind of anachronistic. I'm taking obviously these, you know, rock instruments, electronic instruments, but very much having throwback themes. So even I think the classical music even brings in throwback themes in a sense, because if you're playing just piano and vocals and stuff, that's stuff they would have been playing and would have heard, and the cabarets and nightclubs of turn of the century Paris or London, you know. So anyway, it's just kind of, I kind of like to create a fantasy world of, again, like some of my favorite time period, my favorite genres of music. Does that kind of make sense?
Oh, definitely. No, that's really interesting. Have you got any questions, Curtis? As he disappeared. Oh, God.
Sorry, no, my mute
There you
button.
go.
I was trying to figure out where the heck it was. On that end of things, I don't have any follow-up questions on that one. So
Just thought I'd check.
Nope.
No, cool. But no, I'm really interested in that. So when you're songwriting then, are you perhaps maybe, looking at some historical events? I mean, I was getting quite a lot of sort of fin de siècle vibes from your new album, and I love all of the sort of cultural, societal stuff. I know that comes through in a few songs as well. So do you perhaps sort of choose an idea and then write the music around it, or do you sort of write the music first and then bring the ideas in?
I think I certainly have like ideas of a topic I want to write a song about, but I don't necessarily hear the music for it right away. So sometimes I kind of have to pair the music to, I'm like, oh, this music would go good with that idea. This music would go good with that idea, but they're kind of separate in a way. I rarely start with a lyric first. It does occasionally happen. You can just get something out of the blue that pops into your head. That can happen, but for the most part, that's not what happens. I completely write the music first before I start putting, even if I know like this song is going to be towards this topic, I don't really come up with lyrics until the end.
I'm always interested in seeing how different people write differently, because everyone seems to have like their own preference with it. So obviously you touched a little bit before that you are a one-woman show and you do everything yourself. So when you're songwriting, do you sort of write it first and then record it, or do you tend to like record ideas as you go and then build them up?
Yeah, kind of more the latter of what you said. Yeah, I kind of I can just kind of lay out my process real quick. It basically, I start everything on the piano. So I actually completely write all of the melody and like harmony with the piano, because it's the perfect instrument to do that on. And then I put in the bass. So then I do the rhythm section. So I do bass, and then I do drums, and then I go into usually depending on what kind of song it's going to be. If it's going to be a symphonic song, at this time I will start to kind of put in the symphonic elements, and then I put in guitar, and then finally vocals. But yeah, it's kind of a process, you know, especially since I don't have a band I'm working with. I kind of have to work in pieces, and then build up from there. So yeah, sometimes it's an adventure what the song will actually end up sounding like. I don't always know from I mean, you have ideas in your head, but you're like, you know, sometimes you can change your mind on something, or it goes in a different direction than maybe you initially intended. So I'm certainly open for the creative process.
Oh, that's great.
I want to switch gears a bit if we're allowed to yet, Holly. If not,
sure.
Want to wait. So let's switch it over to the marketing, promotion, blah 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 end of things here. So first thing I just wanted to check. So you did the website all on your own, correct, or no?
My website?
Yeah.
My husband did it.
Okay, cool. But it's kind of like within. I mean, like it's like an internal type thing. So like.
Oh yeah, like we'll tell him what to put on it, and yeah.
Okay, cool. So now what I was kind of wondering is like, where did you guys get the idea for the layout of the website? Because I mean, a lot of bands don't have like the shop attached and stuff. Tough. So I'm just curious where you got that from.
Most websites are kind of an interesting thing nowadays because some people just don't have them, and then a lot of times we think, oh, they're obsolete. They're you can just do social media or whatever. But we did want to have kind of like it's like a directory, basically. It's a one-stop shop in a sense. You can send everybody to your listening and all that. So I think our layout is, as I understand, like a one-page layout pretty much. You just scroll down, and yes, you can click on things. It'll send you to, my shop and all of that. But I was but how did we come up with it? I don't know. I did take the just like Lindsay Schoolcraft, Leah. I was one of her students as well. So a lot of these things I've built over time have been a lot of Guru Leah, as I call her, telling us how to set up your website and all. I have a Shopify account, of course, which the Shopify can your shop page can just look like your website, basically. You can do it to where you're having the same pictures and all of that, but it's directly basically part of a Shopify website you have there too. So
cool. Yeah, I don't remember if you told me that you were early a student or not, but that explains. Okay, that explains. Okay. So now let's just talk for a brief second, just kind of going a little bit beyond that. So you also have an opt-in page for your email list, I noticed, which I need to join. Have you been, do you actually send many emails out or no?
I don't really send out a lot.
Okay.
It's something I probably should be doing more than I do.
Sure.
In a sense, I don't want to just be like, hey guys, how's it going? I kind of want to have something to share. So I've certainly been sending emails like when like I have a single released, and new stuff that's coming up in the shop and all that. So I do try to mention that. Because I've had people message me that say, hey, I'm no longer on Facebook, I'm no longer on Instagram or whatever. So people certainly do jump off of platforms, and
yeah,
then you have no way to contact them. So I'm very thankful for the email, and I of course want to keep building it. But yeah, I do occasionally just send out hey, this is what's up, even if I'm not, just kind of letting them know the process. I always kind of have a tier. I go to Patreon first. I go and kind of let them know stuff first, and then I'll kind of filter it down to like probably last being social media in a sense. So,
So your top tier is Patreon, then email, then whatever the heck they.
Right.
Cool. Actually, let's talk about Patreon for a second. I forgot that you had one. I knew you did, but I forgot that you had one. But let's talk about that for a second. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. So how has it been being, number one, how is it being on Patreon anyways? Just like how do you utilize it, I guess? Because a lot of most people don't actually have a Patreon. So I'm curious how you utilize it. Yeah,
Patreon ended up being kind of a one, as we talk about crowdfunding sorts of things like that. It ended up being the best platform for what I do. I didn't want to do like a Kickstarter or I think that's the one where you like either meet your goal or you get nothing, sort of thing. And I'm like, oh, that's no pressure, so that didn't really seem like a good fit for me. I'm just so underground, so out there in left field. So but I did start to use that, and you do have people that, and it's kind of funny, even people who maybe have not even purchased your music, they want to support you. They believe in independent music, they believe in your vision, and so and especially, and I get it, all the streaming, you can hear everything for free, so, but it doesn't mean people don't want to support you though, too. So, so I kind of just make that known. And I, try to, kind of let them I've been doing some videos inside the Patreon community where they're kind of like hearing the inside of my song, or they're I usually kind of give them teasers, like here's what I end up coming up with, and so I'll just make a quick little video, and they can kind of hear kind of the direction the album was going as it was being made. So they kind of got a behind the scenes look at some stuff, which was kind of fun. So.
And how many hours per month would you say that you have to spend on that, just out of curiosity?
Oh, I should probably do more when I really think about it. But you know, I would say maybe at least I would say do at least an hour a month, because you can even come up with, even if it's little bits of content, or just letting them know, hey, this is, even if it's just a text thing, here, this is what's up. Maybe give them a picture you don't have posted everywhere else or something like that, you know. But yeah, I have a small community on Patreon, but they're still there, and I really appreciate them, and you know, they can always give me their 2 cents, and I'll listen, you know.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Holly, you want to take back over since I derailed your topics?
Yeah, sure, it's fine.
I don't over there.
But I guess I'd be quite interested, actually, just like following on from that, because you are so sort of unique, really, in your music and your genre. Do you find that like Patreon perhaps helps you reach people that, I don't know, maybe you wouldn't quite reach otherwise, or it creates like a space that's kind of where you fit because it's your sound, if that kind of makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, my current experience with it, I haven't really like found somebody outside of someone who maybe wasn't already following me on social media or something like that. I haven't just had someone come out of the blue and be like, oh, I love you, you know. And so maybe someday, I don't know, we'll see. But I've certainly know people like, I'm always just floored by people like, you know, like Amanda Palmer, you know, she just had this very viral sort of Patreon experience, you know, and I'm like, whoa, you know, which I think is awesome. You know, I'm like, what do I have to do to make that happen? You know, I don't know the secrets there. I would say that for sure. I'm like, good for her. I think that's awesome. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't really, and I think someone like her is maybe like, yeah, maybe attracting more of an audience because of kind of her particular Patreon experience. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still hopeful. Maybe, yeah, one day I'll get some people that stumbled across me somehow that maybe wouldn't have otherwise. So it could happen. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, okay. Gotta ask you. I think Curtis will want to know this as well. With your new album coming out very soon, obviously you've got some CDs available and you've got like some t-shirts as well, I think, to go with it. How have you found sort of like promoting these things? Because I know you did a video recently and you managed to get a few sales from it, which is awesome. So how has that sort of been going?
Oh, you know, you can have good days, you can have slow days, and you can have something where nothing happens. You know, there's mostly the days where nothing happens, but but there are those days where, yeah, you start picking up you know, some sales. And I think too, I don't know, I'm hopeful that like with the pre-sale, for instance, sometimes pre-sales, people are not particularly turned on by them. They're like, well, this is something that's going to exist at some point. So sometimes I think once it's there too, I think that's another point to kind of really, really promote it at that point as well. Cause you're like, hey, these are going out. You can order one today. It'll be going out to you, you know? So, but yeah, I just try to, you know, kind of stick to some of the basics for, you know, I try to keep up with social media, even if it's not a selling video, or it just putting something out there that says, hey, I'm still here, you know, just talking about the culture or something, maybe a picture or something that just kind of keeps people involved in your world, basically, even if it's not, because if you just sell, I think it's a turn off, you know. But if that's the only time you pop on is to like try to sell something, I think you have to really just engage with the community and add music or videos or pictures or whatever that are part of that culture. But yeah, but then at the end of the day, you can't be too proud to ask for a sale. Say like, hey, this is coming out. I'm really excited. I think you're going to like this, you know. And so still keep plugging along the way. I also just keep on plugging my my debut album, you know, and I know it's not a new release, but you can always go, hey, are you on Spotify? You know, you can put up a song from, you know, and I feel like, oh, I've replayed these songs so many times, but you know, it's still content though. It's still content that, and new people that come across, they maybe haven't heard it yet. And it's good to even go, hey, I released this last month. Did you hear it? You know, so it's good to keep coming back. So I think those things certainly help get like, hey, she's releasing something. This is something new. We should be excited, hopefully. So is that helpful?
Yeah, no, that's really helpful. Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, I got to interrupt for 1 sec. We got about
Yeah,
8
go on.
minutes left, so 7 minutes left. So Holly's got to do some rapid fire questions there.
Oh, have I? Okay. Putting me on the spot now. Oh, okay. Let's go back to the music for a little bit then. What was your favorite part about recording the new album?
I always get really excited when like a song is done and I get to move on to the next song. So there's kind of like the idea of, okay, I've wrestled with this one for so long, I get to move on. But I know that sounds maybe negative, but I actually really do enjoy the process. It's just, I think just like anything else, we like something new, you know? So yeah, it's just kind of fun to go, oh yeah, I want to do this type of song. I want to do this type of song, you know? And so it's always kind of, I don't know. I was for the most part usually pretty motivated to go on to the next level. So if that kind of makes sense. So
Yeah, I get that. Oh, okay. Another question. How did you decide which songs you wanted to be the singles?
Ooh, I want to know this. What's the thought process, Joan?
for this, I would, you know, my poor friends and people who I make them listen to my music, you know, we would kind of listen to, and you tend to get kind of some feedback on like, oh, I like track such and such, even if they didn't know the name of the song or whatever, you know. And so sometimes I kept on kind of getting some of these, oh yeah, that one really popped out to me. That one really popped out to me. So that was kind of some of it. And also to you kind of know, I think that like Mr. Chandler, it's a very fast-paced, you know, it's engaging, it's fast-paced, you can go, oh yeah, that could be a hummable song to somebody. And then yeah, and then End of the Opera too, which is the song that's about to be released soon, is actually a really odd song for me it was the last song I had made on the album. And it's the only song that's in a major key. And I think to the to maybe the goth listener, you'd be like, why is she doing a song in a major key? But at the same time, it still kind of has that I think the punchy grab to it as well. And also too, even though it was in a major key, I'm a smart ass, and so I kind of, you know, the lyrics are snarky, and it's just kind of what I, you know, it's still very true to me, even though it's in a major key, you know. And then the other one that we had previously released, The Better Broken, it was just a really kind of intense personal song, and I don't think I really had one of those before. And so it just, even though it's kind of maybe a bit of an odd choice for a single, because it's not punchy at first anyway. It's kind of a song that builds, but I think that it's a song that I think a lot of people can relate to on a personal level. So we ended up picking that one too. I say we because I'm like, my husband my friends are like my crew, you know, we're like, so what do we do here? You know, so it's not just all executive decisions by me, but anyway, that was the process for this album anyway, if you wanted to know.
Great.
So we have to wrap up, but I have a final question for you, Joan, and this is very, very important. Aaliyah gave me this question last night. Well, Aaliyah asked us this question last night, and I now want to repeat this question for all future guests. So McDonald's or Wendy's? It's important.
It is very important. I guess McDonald's.
Now, is that just because you have kids, or is that a personal preference?
I just never go I don't know. I think it's just I like Wendy's is like, even McDonald's for the most part, quite frankly, and like they're out of sight, out of mind for the most part, you know. Yes. I'm in Texas, so we're Whataburger people, you know. So, but anyway, if I had to pick, I would say McDonald's.
Fair enough. Let's get the UK's viewpoint on this. What's your viewpoint, Holly? I think you got both of those there, don't you?
We don't have Wendy's, or if we do, I've never been to one. Although, interestingly, McDonald's in the UK versus McDonald's in America is very interesting. You have so much more stuff, and everything is like 3 times bigger.
Okay, but here's one thing. Okay, we did actually my honeymoon was in London, so we were at like a McDonald's in Victoria Station. Okay, and so these people kept on asking for curry sauce, like curry sauce, and we're like, I want some of those. We don't have that.
We don't do that.
You're not going to have that in Texas, you know, or anywhere in the US, you know. So like you had to ask for it. It was like secret, and you had to ask for the stuff, you know. It wasn't just like ketchup, you know. And so I was pretty floored by that. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Really?
One thing I like is that no matter who we have on as a guest, if you ever ask about fast food, everybody just starts talking like this, all of us. But what's my final question? No, that was my final question to you, Joan. So to wrap up, thank you very much for coming on. By Joan's upcoming release, it's on the 10th of December. Going to be released on CD and all digital platforms. It's really, really good. Like she said, it's like a mix of goth, hard rock, metal, rock, all sorts of different stuff. It's really, really good. Check it out. She also just recently had a video premiere, and I forget the site it was at, but what site was it at again, Holly?
It's Moshville, wasn't it?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. They premiered it. Sorry, I'm blanking everybody, but it's early in the morning apparently, and that's my excuse to do it. But anyways, check out Joan's new video, and it was at Moshville, and then also check her out on Spotify, check her out on Bandcamp, and pre-order her new album, I think on her website, which I think is joanavant.com, correct?
Yes.
Cool. So with that, we are done.